Hello there. Welcome to the Aligned Life podcast. I hope you're doing amazing today. So, I'm going to talk about creating a better relationship with your body. I had the idea to talk about this because, well, I always love talking about our bodies and health and mindset, and finding a way to talk about all those things together is always something I love to do. And I'll start off with saying that this episode, I don't claim to be like an expert in some of these things that I'm going to share with you. It's kind of for your own growth to pursue more information on your own. I think that we could all benefit from taking responsibility for our health and for our body and for learning about how to have a healthy and strong body and good health. And that I think sometimes we can put that responsibility on other professionals, and not necessarily like it can. The reason I don't encourage you to do that is because then it makes you believe that you don't have any of your own knowledge and awareness. And um, even this is kind of unrelated, but I'm going to share this too. Like I was um, when I was pregnant with my second daughter, Lincoln. I really felt like the power was taken away from me in her delivery from my doctor. And I'm not blaming, doctors or anything like that. This isn't about shaming any profession, but I felt like I wanted to deliver her in a different position, and my doctor told me not to be on my back to deliver her. And it's like, and I know this now, and I'm older, and I feel like I would speak up for myself and advocate for myself better now. But back then I didn't. And I I listened to her, and I felt like I had no power. And after that moment, like, after, a couple weeks, I'm talking, I looked back at that and I felt really frustrated at the situation and upset even at myself that I felt like I couldn't advocate for myself, or that I didn't stick up for myself or say like, no, I'm doing it like this because this is how I instinctively naturally want to do this. Um so that was like one of the moments where I felt like I didn't listen to my own inner guidance, and I didn't advocate for myself, and that I felt like I knew better, but that I kind of had like little girl energy and I didn't listen to it. So sometimes your guidance is going to tell you to, find maybe a professional who would be able to help you, right? Like, it's not always that you just need to not listen to a professional and do your own thing. Sometimes listening, you can get like hits of intuition to reach out to someone, and that might be the best thing for you. But I want to share with you some thoughts on having a better relationship with your body, and like the connection between even mind, body, and all of that. And I've talked about this book before with you guys, and sometimes I lose track of like, did I say this on Instagram? Did I say this in my membership? Did I talk about this already on the podcast? So my apologies if I have shared some of this before on the podcast. But I think it was last year, I was reading the book When the Body Says No by Dr. Gabor. And I know I shared that like it's a heavy book, and I'm a sensitive person, and I found that I couldn't read too much of it at a time because I kind of felt sad for his patients going through these things where they didn't things that they were going through mentally and emotionally caused them to have disease in the body, and how there is that connection. And it was very affirming with what I know and believe also just in my own life. And it was not nice to, but like it was good to read that book and to really affirm, like, yes, there is this connection between our mind and our body, and we can learn about this connection and use it to have better health and to feel better in our life, and to stop disease, to even reverse it. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this in his own work too. Like, there's so much power that we have, but I think sometimes in more of the Western world that we maybe don't always know this. So, I don't know who you are listening to this podcast, where you're coming from, what knowledge you have. Maybe you're like, yeah, of course we can heal ourselves. Or maybe you're, new to this path, and it could be eye-opening and maybe inspiring to know that there's possibility for you, and that you can feel better, you can have a better relationship with your body, and that you're not a victim. There is power and control in your hands, and that you can always do something. And I always want to share that message and help people know that you do have so much power, and that the things, even the difficult things that you're going through, that you can get to a place, when you go through them and you have, and you can handle them well and move through them with grace, that you can get to a place where you can almost even be thankful that you went through that, because it helped you learn so much about yourself and become a stronger person, and come out like even stronger on the other side of that situation. So what I want to share, kind of the idea where this episode came from, was the other day, maybe you know this about me, maybe you don't. I'm a yoga instructor. I did my yoga teacher training, my first training back when I was 17, 18 years old. And ever since then, I've always loved learning about the body and health, and the spiritual side of it too. And so throughout the years, I've learned different things. And one of the things that I have learned is, according to, I don't even remember where I would have picked this up, if it's in Chinese medicine or if it is part of yoga tradition or philosophy or teachings, but the left side of the body is the feminine side and the right side is the masculine side. So the other day, somebody came up to me and said that they had back pain, and they were like, what's a good yoga pose for back pain? I've got this low back pain, and it's actually kind of chronic, he said. And that made me think, so I suggested some poses, but then I said, if it's something that is more chronic that you experience, I would look into the emotional connection between the back, like lower back pain. And I said I would actually go and Google emotional connection to low back pain and just see what comes up and see if anything resonates with you. And so they did that, and they texted me later and said, maybe this is, there could be something there or whatever. And so I think that the connection, what came up was around stress, and I believe something around maybe self-worth or sense of self and things like that. And so because I have done this with another person who is having pain in their shoulder. And, I said, oh, this side of the body is the feminine, this is the masculine. And so it's on this side and it's shoulder. So, Google shoulder pain and see what the emotional connection is. And there's a lot of insight that can come up. And I think that the shoulders was around feeling like you're carrying a burden, almost like you have like the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? And so I think for this other person too, there was an aha moment, right? So when you have something going on, let's say physically, you're experiencing something, pain physically or whatever, I would encourage you to be your own detective and to Google what's coming up for you and type in like emotional connection between da 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 and da 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 or whatever. And if you're going through something and it's on a certain side of the body, to know like, okay, this is my feminine side or this is my masculine side. And so what that means would be, so if it's on your left side and it's something, that would mean it's the feminine side. So either it's you, if you're the female, like there's something going on with you, or it could be with another female presence in your life, right? And if it's, so for example, I wanted to share this too, is that I am having pain in my right shoulder and I haven't done anything. It's been about a week, and funny enough is I did have pain in my shoulder a couple months ago as well. And when I made the connection, right shoulder and right is the masculine side. So either that's your masculine, as in maybe you are expressing in the wounded masculine. So this is all about energy. And this is what I mean is like, I am not an expert necessarily in these things, but this is something that I do find really interesting. And I have spent time learning about the feminine and masculine energy and what is the wound. So you can do this yourself, okay? You can literally Google wounded masculine energy and see what comes up. And then you could Google wounded feminine energy and see what comes up. Or you could Google integrated feminine energy or see what is like what is an empowered feminine energy? What would be the characteristics of that? What would be the characteristics of the grounded or integrated masculine energy? Because no matter if you are a male or female listening to this podcast episode, everybody has masculine and feminine traits and energy and characteristics in them, okay? And so we all, even as, I've coached women who would say that they are maybe more dominant in the masculine, but that can also come across as wounded masculine. And they need to integrate more feminine into their lives and into their interactions with people, okay? So like I said at the beginning, do your own research if you find this interesting and if you want to learn more about this. This is something that you can learn so much on your own and become your own detective for what's going on in your life and in your body. And and so for me, I did make the connection when my shoulder was having something going on a couple of months ago. It's like you almost need the awareness, like, oh, it's my right side and this was coming up. That makes sense, right? And so each part of the body is going to have a certain parts to it as well, right? Like I said, the shoulders, it's like if you have a shoulder, it could be like you're carrying a heavy burden. It could also, I think, be financial. And so same thing, like with the back, it's going to be relating to a different part. Even in, is it Chinese medicine or something like that? There was somebody that I was following. I think her name is Julie. Oh, if I can think of it, I will add it to the show notes. But she was talking about face mapping. And I want to get into this in a second. So I'll kind of like, I'll share that I want to talk about acne and face mapping as well. But like she was saying something around face mapping and how there's different parts of your body that, or of your face that correlate to the organs in the body. So like, your spleen, your liver, intestines, and all of that is all going on in the face. And you can map it out, and you can Google face map and see the different organs correlating to different parts on your face. So anyways, where was I going with that? So having the awareness, that's what I was going to say, is having the awareness between like, okay, masculine side or feminine side. And this is a situation that I just kind of went through. Maybe I didn't handle it as well as I should have. Maybe I'm feeling upset that I felt like I got walked on or walked over, or maybe I feel disrespected, right? Like there could be a situation with somebody else, or it could be something going on with you. But when you start to bring awareness to situations in your life, you can understand, oh, that makes sense that I'm feeling this pain here because I felt stifled. I felt disrespected. I felt whatever. And see how the emotions that you are experiencing in your life it's all impacting your body. And I was talking about this book, When the Body Says No, by Dr. Gabor Mate, and he talks about, like, for example, women having a higher rate of autoimmune disease because he explains that for the most part, it's women who maybe feel like they can't speak up, like they have to be the caretakers, like they have to be selfless, like they can't share or take time for themselves or share their opinion or speak up. And so this can impact them experiencing or creating disease in their body. And so maybe this is something that you're going through right now, you have something coming up in your own health, and you could learn a lot about maybe maybe you felt like you never could advocate for yourself or could speak up, and now you're experiencing something. There's a lot of insight that you can have, and you can start to reverse. This is my belief. Okay. So I'm sharing this because I want to empower you. And I hope that nobody has their feathers ruffled or feels offended by me suggesting this or whatever. But it is my belief that you can heal, that you can reverse disease, that you can change your life and your health by healing yourself, and your thought process and your emotions. So if you can take back the power in your life, and I'll say stand up for yourself, and I'm saying that with air quotes, yeah, we'll say it like that. If you can stand up for yourself, that you can maybe heal if you were going through a health challenge or whatever. So read that book if you feel called to, if you feel like you have something going on in your own health, or maybe someone else, right? And he talks about that too, like breast cancer and all these other things that women, I've heard a statistic around that like when women feel like they're over giving, or like a connection with the heart, right? If you really think about that, breast cancer, it's, your heart is right there. So could there be heartache? Could there be other things that are contributing to this? And I like to learn about this, and I like to live my life like this, because it's my belief that things in life are purposeful, and that if we can learn to be in tune with our body, that we can have And when we learn the language of our body, that we can heal ourselves, that we can live in harmony with our body, that our body is not this one thing over here and everything in life is separate. I don't believe that. I believe everything is connected. And I believe that this is how I coach. This is how I live my life. And this is how I encourage you to live your life, that nothing is ever separate in its own little container or box, right? Like how wherever you go, there you are. So how you think and your view on life and your view on yourself is going with you in every single area of your life. So if you feel like a victim, you're bringing that victim consciousness with you in your relationships, in your career, in your health, and you're never going to feel like you have power, and you're going to feel like things are always happening to you and never for you, and that life has no meaning or no purpose. And that's going to be a scary place to live in. That's going to feel like you have no control. And people want to have control. It's why everybody has problems in relationships, is because they're all fighting over control, right? So I think that you can choose to see that you do have control, that you are co-creating with the universe, with source, and that the more that you see your body is actually on your side. A lot of times I think what happens is people get sick or have pain in their body, and then it's like them against their body. And they're not they almost get like upset and angry at their body, creating more negative emotion. And what does that do to the body, right? Negative emotion isn't ideal for the body. Yes, it's a natural thing that happens, and life is both 50% positive and 50% negative. But I think, hold on to anger too much, and holding on to emotion, because emotion is supposed to flow through the body. I believe is it 17 seconds or is it 90 seconds? The lifespan of an emotion is supposed to go through the body. But we tend to hold on to it or repress it, and then it gets trapped in the body. And then that's what creates disease. That's what creates dis-ease, right? In the body. So if you can have better mental health, you can have better emotional health, and you can have better physical health, because they are all connected. It's literally, I see it as one health. And when the moment you start improving your mental health, the moment you'll improve your emotional health, the moment you improve your physical health. When you start, or vice versa, when you start exercising, your mental health improves. It is a proven fact that people who have depression, they can heal themselves through daily movement. So there's studies on that. And I encourage you to learn about that, because it's all connected. Everything is connected, and it can't be separate. So, if you're going through even a hard time in a relationship, let's say you are having a struggle with a friend or a sibling, that is going to weigh on you. And that's going to impact how you do your work. That's going to impact how you parent. That's going to impact whether you even might feel like working out or eating healthy, right? People have stress in their life, and this stress it makes them maybe want to come home and just numb out in front of the TV, because it's a way for them to take their mind off of it. Or that's what they tell themselves. That's what they believe. So in another, it's just like another reminder for us to really learn how to be in control of our thinking. It's another reminder that your thoughts are powerful, and that you have control over your thinking. You have the power to decide the meaning of situations. And when you can get in front of that meaning, and you can be deliberate in deciding the meaning, instead of just letting the first thing come to mind be the meaning, like, I didn't get invited out for supper, that means I'm a loser, right? Or something like that. It means nobody likes me. or whatever, and you can just be more intentional and be like, oh, they must have forgot, or not a big deal at all because I wouldn't have wanted to go anyways. And you can be in control of what you decide and think about yourself. You are going to have such a higher quality of life compared to the people who just let their thoughts be default. And everybody has a default way of thinking, and that's how we go through the beginning part of our life, is on default thinking. And when we can make the switch to being deliberate, we become the conscious creators of our life. And I want this for everybody because there's so much power in this compared to just thinking, oh, life is random. I have no control. This is just the way that it is. My body's against me. People don't like me. And all these just default ways of thinking and being. It's not going to be a fun way to live your life. And I also don't think that it's the truth, right? So start to learn and see the connection and do your own research. Spend time learning about your body, learning about emotions. Like, even when you feel something, stop seeing your feelings as against you, right? I remember learning about anger is like, anger is this part of you. This is what I read. It's like, anger is this part of you that loves you so much, and it feels like it's been wronged. It feels like it's been treated unjustly, or it feels like it wasn't like, it feels like someone did you wrong. And it's just this part of you that really loves you and wants the best for you. And I was like, wow, that's such a better way to think about anger than like being scared of your anger, or thinking like, oh, I'm just an angry person, or I need to control my anger or whatever. It's like, oh, it's like, this is just a part of me that wants the best for me. And I can still be in control of myself, right? I don't have to lash out, and I can still learn to get a grip of myself, essentially. But that's a more powerful way of reframing your emotions, even. So what I wanted to share was another thing was, I'm going to pull up. So there's an Instagram account that I found last year, and where is it? It's the healing point period _ Okay. Her name is Tracey Stevens, Tracey Stevens. And if you follow her on Instagram, it's a very interesting account. She talks about root cause. She has, I think, a course even on like root cause, understanding emotions and health and things going on in the body and the root cause of them. So I might have also shared this on Instagram, or I think Instagram before. But around this time last year, my skin was really bad, for lack of a better way to word that. Like, my skin, I was breaking out, and I couldn't understand what was going on, because I was like, I eat healthy. Like, I'm not eating a ton of junk or deep fried stuff the way you kind of think, like, if you have bad skin because you're eating deep fried food or whatever. I'm like, I'm not going through anything hormonally, anything different. Like, I'm not having babies or whatever. I know that sometimes skin can go through changes when you're pregnant or teenage years, right? So I couldn't make sense of it. It just felt like I'm not going through anything that I should be experiencing this going on with my skin. I'm 30 some years old. I should be over this. I kind of got like in my head. And if you've had any skin issues yourself, you know that it's like a very, it's a hard thing to go through, because it's your first thing that people see, and it can make you feel very insecure, especially being 30 years old, 32, 33 years old. And then you're going through this. It's like, I shouldn't be going through this right now. So this was, I think that's probably when I found this Instagram account, Tracey Stevens, The Healing Point. And she had a post on acne that was really helpful for me, because I was like, maybe this isn't a physical thing, right? Maybe it is an emotional thing that's going on, because to me, I was like, I'm eating well, I'm taking care of my skin. It wasn't like I was not washing. I don't wear any foundation. I wash my face. So I was like, it can't be a physical thing. It wouldn't even make sense for it to be physical. So that's when I really understood too the connection between the emotions and things going on in our body, or in my case, like with my skin. So I can't even remember all of the ahas that I had, but I felt like for me, it was a lot going on with like my identity, and feeling like for me, you guys might know this about me, but I've always kind of felt like I'm like the black sheep. I feel a lot different than people, in the sense of even sharing this podcast episode. Maybe not a lot of people think like this. I think that because I come from a small town, and I have always kind of felt like I'm different than a lot of people. I was the only vegetarian in my small town. I was the only one that was doing yoga. I feel a lot of times, even so in my family and in my outer circle, I just have always felt like I'm a bit different. And I think that was coming up in my identity this time last year, was feeling kind of like different and maybe insecure about that. And then this was going on in my skin. This was what I was coming out, was because of I was feeling this way. And also, there can be a connection between anger and skin issues. And again, I'm not claiming to be an expert. I encourage you to go do your own research and to learn about this if you're going through something like this. Maybe it's not acne, but it might be something else going on with the skin, or with the body, or organs, or whatever. There's so many things that you can learn just by typing things into Google and just seeing where you are led. And the most important thing is that you are willing and open to new information. If you are not open, you will not receive answers. So I really want to make that clear. I am quite open to alternative ways of thinking, alternative health, alternative in spirituality, and all of that. I'm pretty open. And this is one of the things that kind of makes me feel so different, is that I feel like I don't really follow a lot of mainstream stuff. And so I know people, I have people who are quite skeptical, who want, 100 facts, who need all of this proof before they would ever believe anything or whatever. And that's fine. People can choose to be however they want to be. But if you are closed off, if you are skeptical, that's going to impact the information that is going to be available to you. And that's going to impact miracles. That's going to impact possibility, because you just went, if you're watching me on Instagram, you just went from all this possibility. And now if you choose to be skeptical, now you've got only this much possibility, right? So I like being open and being curious, and believing in things. Like, I like thinking like anything could be possible, right? And Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about that. He's like, I would rather be open to things than be closed off and skeptical about everything, because the possibility, like you open up all these doors and possibilities for yourself. So remember that just because you've always been one way doesn't mean you always have to continue to be that way. And it starts with you, how you describe yourself. Do you say like, I'm skeptical, I don't believe in things, and you describe yourself like that? That's your self-concept, and that's how you view yourself, and that's how you're going to view the world then. And you're going to always kind of be like on edge, and thinking that you need to, you can't trust things, or you can't trust people. I just wouldn't choose to live my life that way personally. No judgment on anyone. I'm just sharing this that you can change, you can be open to things, you can learn new things, you can believe in possibility. There can be more than meets the eye, right? So um so yeah, that's what I wanted to share a bit of this. I could go on and on, but I think that this is enough to kind of get you started in learning about this. So to recap, the left side is the feminine, the right side is the masculine. There's different organs relating to different emotions. There's different parts of your face that relate to different organs. You can follow Tracey Stevens at the healing point _. You can learn more by Dr. Gabor. His book is the one that I specifically read is called When the Body Says No. It has stories, and he's a medical doctor if anybody needs that for their own skeptical mind. He is a medical doctor, and he in that book shares stories about basically the body, in a way shutting down because of the emotional pain that people have endured, and their body creates disease or autoimmune disease or different things going on because of how they're experiencing life. Okay. So on that, and then there's another book called The Body Keeps the Score, and that is by Bessel. I can't remember. It's like Vander something. So Bessel, I believe, but just Google. It's a popular book. I think it's gaining even in popularity now, more so because I think this is starting to become more mainstream, that there is this connection, mind-body connection. I mean, of course, how could there not be, right? How could there not be? So be open, continue your own learning journey, start to make the connection between how you feel and what's going on in the body, and make sure that you allow yourself to feel your emotions. And also make sure you question the meaning you give circumstances, right? What I mean by that, I'm just going to share a really quick story with you. So yesterday, I was driving to pick up my girls from school, and I was stopped at a red light, and somebody ran into me. And I was at first super annoyed, right? Super frustrated. This is the third accident that this poor vehicle has been in the past like 14 months. All three of them, this one included, people have hit us. Two of them with me, one of them my husband was driving. And so I kind of went into a little bit of victim mode. I was like, oh my gosh, how is this happening again? This poor vehicle. Like, I felt a little bit like I was being punished, okay? And so just remember that just because that is your initial thought about something doesn't mean that that's what you have to continue thinking. So that was my initial thought, was frustration. You should, like, why did you do that? You should have been more in control. You should have known that the roads were icy, And we pulled into a parking lot, and it just gave me enough time to calm myself down through my breathing. So just remember, your breath is always with you. It is the one thing. I tell this to my daughters all the time, especially when they start to get worked up. You can tell. As soon as they start getting worked up, their breathing is crap. And if you're a mom, you know this to be true. And same thing for you, right? When you are getting worked up, you've lost control of your breathing. So if you can slow down your breathing and become a conscious breather, right? You even count your inhales. Like, it's like you're inhaling and you tell yourself inhale, and then you say exhale, and you might even say 1, right? And you do it to 5 or something. And that's what I get my daughters to do if they're crying and getting worked up and like kind of losing control, is I'm saying, like, you got to breathe through your nose, slow down. It's all is okay. And I just try to help them. So that just driving into the parking lot gave me a moment to take some deep breaths, and I was able to reframe it. And I said to myself, Megan, this could have happened to anyone. This could have happened to you. I literally remember just consciously saying that this could have been you. Luckily, it wasn't you. Like, you're not going to be at fault. Everyone is okay. It's not the end of the world. And I was just able to calm myself down because I gained control of the narrative of the situation. I was in control of what I was telling myself, right? I'm not a victim. This isn't happening because God is punishing me. This isn't happening because the universe is out to get me. Like, that's not how I view the world. That's not the way I look at the world. I choose to believe that we live in a friendly universe and that things happen, difficult things happen to help us be who we say we want to be. And I felt yesterday like I was pretty in control of who I wanted to be. Like I was, because I know in the past I can get like annoyed and frustrated, and then I might, complain to my husband and be like, oh, and this happened to me, and da 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 da, and just make this huge story. And I just felt like I was proud of myself and was able to get ahead of the story. And because I controlled the story, the narrative that I was telling myself, I then felt more in control, because what you think determines how you feel. And I will tell you this every single day for the rest of my life, because you need to remember that you can feel better when you think better. People feel so many unnecessary negative emotions because they are not in control of the story that they tell themselves. They believe that people are out to get them. They believe that the universe is out to get them. They believe that, if you think people are stupid, people should be paying more attention, and you say all of these things, you're working yourself up. Okay. And so you can have a better life experience by being in control of the things that you tell yourself. And that's going to impact your physical health as well, because stress and negative emotion isn't ideal for the physical body. I just shared this on Instagram that I remember seeing something. I saw it just like a couple weeks ago, that it takes, I believe, don't quote me on this, again, do your own research, but I believe it said 7 hours it takes for the body to return to homeostasis, or its natural place, after experiencing anger. So I think about that, and I think about the times that I was just like so unnecessarily angry when my girls were really little. I would get angry if they missed a nap. I would get angry if they had a crappy nap. I would get angry if they spilt something on the floor. I would get angry if they had a tantrum. Like I was just felt like I was always feeling like a victim and angry about things. And it stays in your body for 7 hours. And then if another situation happens, it's like you're adding on top of that. And it's not good for your physical health. So you just want to remember that, because it actually dampens your immune system as well, stress and all of that. So you can experience less stress by managing your mind. Okay? So I want the best for you. I want you to feel in control. I want you to feel healthy and emotionally stable. And I want you to not think that the universe is against you, or that bad things happen because you're being punished or anything like that. I just want you to have a positive outlook on the world, positive outlook on yourself, and to start to learn about what's going on in your body, and to see that your body is actually wants to be well. This is the last thing that I want to share. I meant to touch on this earlier, and maybe I already kind of did, but when you get sick, like even that, people are like, oh, my body, I'm sick again, or whatever. It's like, no, your body wants to be well. And it is actually, you being sick is actually your body. It's a good thing for your body. Like, people have this weird thing, even with fevers. It's like your body is doing this to help you. But we almost like think our body is like attacking us or something. And it's so strange because I used to think that way too. Like, oh no, my girls have a fever, and I would get all worried. And that's the kind of the culture that we've created, is like, something's wrong with my body. It has a fever. And what if the body is doing that on purpose? Like, I tell my girls this all the time. When you get a cut, if I say, oh, you got a cut, yeah, you know what? You don't even have to do anything. Your body's just going to heal this cut all on its own. The only thing you really need to do is just continue to take care of yourself. So let's get to bed so that your body can heal. Let's eat healthy. Let's drink lots of water. Let's practice being positive and reducing stress. And all of those things are going to help your body. Your body wants to help you. You have to help your body. It's a relationship, right? So, I hope that this is the way that you live. I hope that you find benefit in this information. I hope that you can continue your own learning. I hope I didn't offend anyone. I hope that you can have a positive relationship with your body, with yourself, with your emotions, with the world, with the universe, because that's going to make your whole life experience so much more enjoyable. So feel free to share this episode with friends, personal growth besties who would benefit from this information. Follow me on Instagram at megan.schmidt.coaching. And if you want to take this work deeper, feel free to join us inside of the Align membership or sign up for one-on-one coaching if you want more personalized weekly support. All of the information is in my show notes for links and all of that stuff. I will also put details of what we talked about in people and all that kind of stuff in the show notes as well, so you can easily find that. And I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and we will chat again soon. Take care.